Hello. Melody, I didn't mean to make you so small. There we go.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm having it. I think it's me, Bethany. I'm having all these weird technical issues going on here today. So you keep stopping and starting. I feel like it's totally just me. If it keeps happening, I'm going to back out and let you take this, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, if those watching, if you are seeing any glitches on my end, please let me know. It could be a me problem. It's so hard to tell because I don't see any of that on my end.
It is.
so I'm sorry about
that. That's why since you don't see it, since you don't see the problem, but I do, it could be here. I'm not sure what it is. My IT guy is napping, so I don't know right now.
Dad is napping. Eric's in the background. Eric, do I look okay for you? Does Melody look okay for you? All right, Melody, it might be you. And if it bothers you,
I think it's just me.
But I can hear and see you just fine. So I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I think it's me, but if I don't answer right away, it's because it's glitching, or I apologize if I talk over you because I don't know what's going on. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you want to talk real quick about our Black Friday deals, and I'll let you have the floor to do that?
Yeah, I'll do that really quick, and then you can take over the Sewalong part, and then if I have to tap out, I can. So we just want to make sure to remind everybody our Better Than Black Friday sale is still going on. Today's the last day to register as a VIP, you guys. So if you have not yet done that, please do that. You will automatically, as soon as you register as a VIP on our website, you will automatically get a discount code to your email. And then you'll get 25% off of anything CutterPillar or Sew and Spill related on our website. And you can use that through the weekend, because Monday will start our regular Black Friday sale where our website will be 15% off. So this is the last weekend to get in on that and make sure that you get that Better Than Black Friday deal. I can't remember if we're having a special for VIPs only special this weekend. Bethany, I don't know if you're able to pull that up. I can look. I put my computer down. I can't remember if we did that this weekend or not, but if so, then as a VIP, you'll get an email about that. Like we did last weekend.
Maybe on Monday. They should check their email on Monday.
Is it Monday?
Uh-huh.
Okay, keep an eye out on your email, because like last weekend, we had a special coupon code that went out to our VIPs that had already signed up as a VIP, where you could get a free gift with purchase. We're going to have others of those going on over the next couple of weeks for those of you that have signed up for a VIP. So even though you're not going to be able to register anymore after Friday and our regular Black Friday starts Monday, as a VIP, you still get emails about these extra special things that are happening. So make sure you sign up as a VIP. And do that. Also, as a VIP, you're entered into all of the giveaways that we'll be doing. We're going to be going live quite a bit over the next 2 weeks, between next week and leading up to Thanksgiving and actual Black Friday. So join us for all of those. You'll get an agenda email on Monday that tells you all the times that we're going to be going live. So we want to make sure you're there for those things, and you'll get all that information. So as that. So, but this is our last day, our last weekend. I think you can sign up as a VIP through the weekend till Sunday, so it's not today's the last day.
I think it's
through
Sunday.
The 16th. Yeah, through the 16th is when you can sign up as a VIP, and then Monday the 17th is when our regular Black Friday sale takes over the website, and you won't be able to register as a VIP anymore. So please do that. And I think that's all. Make sure to go to our CutterPillar Creations Hub on our Facebook page. We have so much fun over there, and we got to see the rubber ducky Christmas tree, which makes me want to put a Christmas tree in my bathroom, because I haven't ever done that before, and I think I'm going to do that now. But I still have my regular ones planned that I have to finish before I can plan a new one. The husband doesn't like it when Christmas trees show up at my house when there's blank ones not decorated yet, so I have to wait on that. Lindell, thank you for your question. We do not have a glass mat without grid lines on it, but I will tell you a little trick. If you would like, and if you believe that you won't ever want grid lines on your glass mat, the grid is screen printed on the back of your glass mat. So you can scrape them off with a razor blade. I've had several people come to me at shows and tell me that they decided to do that. And so they left the outside measurements, but they got rid of all of the grid in the middle. Once you do that, it can't be undone. So I don't suggest it unless you're for sure you don't ever want the grid on the glass mat. So, but right now, the only version of the glass mat we have is this exact size, this exact version with the grid lines already screen printed on the back. So that's a decision.
Our glass mats are so inexpensive and so affordable. You might as well just get a second one and have one with grid, and then have one without, and just take the grid off of one, right?
That's what I would suggest if you decide you really want one without a grid. I wouldn't get rid of the one with the grid, just in case, because for me, like, I've been doing my trees, I've been ironing my trees on my glass mat, and I like to use the grid to make sure that I'm centered where I need it to be. If you don't need to do that, by all means, scrape that off. But I think it's a good idea to have two for sure. Yeah, see, Lindell, if you already have two, scrape it off of one and keep the grid on the other, and then you've got the best of both worlds. But I think that's all of the updates that we needed to do for the day, unless I'm forgetting something. Bethany, please tell me if I'm forgetting something, but I think that's all of them. I've been forgetting a lot of things this week. My brain's been slow this week.
We've had a long week. So registering for VIP Black Friday deals, that ends Sunday. Why do you want to do that? One, you're going to get a better than Black Friday deals. So coming Monday, our regular Black Friday deals are not going to be as good as what you can get as a VIP. VIP is going to get 25% off. That is better than our regular Black Friday deals. I'm just telling you right now. But you won't be able to get those if you after Sunday. So you have to register. Secondly, you get entered into all of our giveaways that we're doing during our sales lives, that not the Sewalong lives, but our sales lives. So you definitely want to register. So you're automatically entered into those. You don't even have to be on the lives to win. Okay. We pick random winners every time we go live from our VIP list. Thirdly, we're sending out, as Melody mentioned, some random emails just to our VIPs where they can get freebies with their orders that nobody else is going to be able to get. In their limited time. They're either for the weekend or a one-day only deal, and you have to read those emails, because when it's over, it's over. It's like a little snippet of something that you get. So don't miss out on those three things right there are like the key reasons why you would want to sign up VIP. Name, email, is what we need. You can choose to add your phone number as well, because then it texts you the code and then you'll always have it there too. So it's up to you. But I mean, we're not extending that. We're not extending the sign up past Sunday. It ends on Sunday. And then our regular Black Friday is for the last 2 weeks of November. And we're going to have some great deals, but they're not going to be as good as the VIPs. Okay. So I think that's kind of it. That covers it. If you've already signed up for VIP, let us know in the chat. We'd love to congratulate you on getting the best deal and shopping early. So that's awesome. Let's see here. Kat says, I pulled out my CutterPillar Glow yesterday only to realize I have 2 cutting mats, but no glass mat. I've had this set up probably for 5 years. Guess I need to add a glass mat and some magnets. Yes, Kat. And I'll tell you right now, if you sign up VIP, you could get 25% off that glass mat, because 25% off is all of our CutterPillar products. All of our CutterPillar products. Christy said she's already signed up VIP. Congrats, Christy, on being a VIP and getting the best deals. I mean, it's shopping season. We started early so that you could spread out the shopping. We know it's a key time for a lot of people to get that holiday shopping done, or maybe shop for yourself so you can just stick it under the tree and be like, look, I already got my presents. Yay. And that's fine too. We all do it. Catherine said she's a VIP. Angela said she's a VIP. But she's all the way in South Africa. Angela, if you have questions about shipping to South Africa, just send an email to support@CutterPillar.com. And Melody will help you with figuring out what that would look like, because it would have to be like a special order that she would have to manually put in. But we've shipped internationally. We don't do it through our website, but we have done one-offs, and you just have to send an email to Melody at support@CutterPillar.com. She'll work with you and give you your options. Kat said she signed up during Monday's session. Awesome. Rosina said, I signed up as soon as I heard. Angela, yes, please email us. Hi, Jane from Kentucky. I'm just south of you in Tennessee. All right. So you guys are so chatty today. Happy Friday. I have a lot of energy because this is not my first Diet Coke today. And I've also had an iced coffee. So it's been a great Friday for me. All right. Melody, are you ready to do some applique? See if she'll catch up. I think she's frozen. I'm going to remove her from the screen so she's not frozen in that state. But we're going to talk all things applique today. And Melody, if you get reset, you're welcome to join us back. I would love for you to come back and ask all your questions. So you have just me teaching you today. Corey was teaching something else today, so he will be back on Wednesday. And I'm going to make sure he gave me some information to tell you guys to make sure you're prepared for next week's class on Wednesday. So we have today. We have Wednesday and Friday of next week, and we will be done with this Sewalong. So it's a 4-part series this time because we're doing some extra things that we haven't done before. So how many people have at least one Christmas tree block pressed and ready to applique, ready to stitch down? Raise your hand if you've got at least one. I am going to be very honest with you. I have 5 done. I told you guys you had to have all 25 done, and I didn't expect you to. I told you I would have all 25 of mine done. I did not get them all done. I had a very busy week, and I am a delusional person when I think I can stay up till 2 a.m. every night working on stuff like this, and I can't. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I pressed my heat and bond onto the front of my fabric last night. At least I only did it on one, and I only had to cut one more, but that was my sign that I needed to go to bed and get some sleep. So I have 5 of my trees done. I'll show them to you real quick. Here's the first one. Here is the second one. I am going to stitch this one down today because it's a very much like a white fabric on the white fabric, the white tree on the white. And we really need to outline this one. So I'm going to show you. I'm glad I did that one compared to this one where it's obviously a tree, right? I did have that one done. I have this one. I love how this cut out on mine with the herald. I love that. And then I have another green tree. So I've got 5. They're all very different. So we're going to play around with these. Catherine, I just received the pattern from Etsy today. I have the background squares cut. Well, Catherine, that's awesome. You feel free to hang out, take notes, ask questions. As you know, you can watch the replay of all of our sew-alongs over on our YouTube once they're done. You can go watch Wednesdays again already. But ask questions, and you can keep cutting your pieces out while we're hanging out today. But I'm going to go through applique today. I did one of those 2. Definitely. What did it say? I did one of those 2. Definitely assigned to stop. Okay, I wasn't the only one that pressed the heat and bond to the front of the fabric instead of the back. Yeah, that was when I was like, I should go to bed. I didn't though. I kept going and finished getting all of my trees and all of my pieces cut out, but I didn't press them all. And I started pressing them this morning. So, okay, applique. There's a lot that we could talk about with applique. I could be here for hours talking about applique. There's so many different types of applique, and I love all of them. But what we're doing on these trees is a very simple applique method. So you probably heard of some turned edge or raw edge or reverse applique. I mean, there's so many different types of applique. We're doing a very simple type of applique, but I'm going to show you ways that you can level it up. But what I mean by simple is we cut out our shape. We have heat and bond or a fusible on the back, like a heat and bond or something along those lines. And then we're pressing it onto the fabric so it's secure, but we still need to secure it by stitching it. Okay. Now, I was talking with Melody earlier. She was like, I don't know if I want to applique all 25 of my trees. That's okay. That's okay. Oh, Melody's back. Can you hear us now?
I can, I think. Okay. I'm just gonna,
okay,
if I leave again, I'm sorry, but I rebooted the whole thing I hard rebooted everything. So hopefully we're good now.
It's all good. All right. So we were just talking about applique and just diving into it. So I was saying that you had said that you're not sure you want to applique all 25 of your trees, and you do not have to.
Right.
Okay. So when you press them on like this, there's a couple things that you can do. You can stitch around them, and I'm going to show you lots of ways to do that. I have some samples to show you. I have some stitch outs that I'm going to stitch with you to give you some ideas, and then we're going to stitch one of these together. But if you don't want to stitch around each one of these, and I get it, it's time consuming and it is a design choice, you can piece all of these together and then you can stitch it down in your quilting. But if you're going to do that, you're going to need to make sure you go over every piece pretty well. Okay. And the reason I say that is you're going to probably need a denser quilting, meaning more tighter quilting design, or rows or stitches or however you want to do it, versus doing like just a wider crosshatch. You really need to catch everything, because if you plan to use and wash and use this quilt, you're going to want to make sure things are secure and they don't wear off. The other thing to keep in mind is this is essentially a raw edge applique, meaning if we do not do what a thick border around all of these pieces, then there are going to be raw edges of this fabric that are going to be exposed. So over time, wash and wear, you might see some threads and some fraying, and that's an aesthetic choice. Okay. Now I did, and I should have brought it in here. I don't have it in here. I have a sweatshirt that I put a quilt block on, and I didn't do I didn't do a satin stitch because it was on a sweatshirt. Okay. I just did a little blanket stitch so you can still see the edge of the quilt block. I have washed and worn that sucker hundreds of times. Okay. I love that sweatshirt. But I do have some like little threads that fray here and there along the edge of that block. But to me, it's cute. It makes it look very scrappy and it's fun. That is a design choice. Same with this. The more or less that you finish the edges of these pieces, the more or less you might see some fraying. For me, this is going to hang on a wall or the back of a couch. It is not going to be something that we're snuggling up with and that my dog's going to touch. Okay. So for me, I want to have fun. I want to play with my applique. I want to play with my different decorative stitches. I want to add embellishments, because it's probably not going to wash it. It's going to get stitched together and like hung on the wall with my quilting clips. Okay. That's because that's how I choose to use it. The other thing I told Melody is you don't have to applique all 25. You can do half of them and alternate. You can just do 5 of them and plug them into different places. You do not have to applique all of these. Okay. You can just do a few and have a few that pop out with some extra design elements or sparkle, and do the rest. They can all just be quilted over. Again, it is totally up to you. This is where you get to fun. To me, this is where I'm giving you like here's all your options. Here's a coloring page. Now go color and have fun, and you get to design it. So I'm going to show you a lot of different things. If you have any questions at any point, please do not hesitate to ask. I want you guys to feel empowered, but let me just tell you, there's a few things that I'm going to tell you about to get you set up for success, but then you get to play and have fun. There's no wrong choice with stitches. There's no wrong choice with design elements. There's no wrong choice with any of that. I just want to make sure the only key thing is making sure we're securing our stitches and we're doing enough to secure our fabric. Okay.
Why do I feel like I'll choose the wrong thing?
There's no wrong choice. There's no wrong choice.
And I have a hard time with that. I appreciate that, but I have a hard time with that.
Let's revisit the image of this quilt. I have my little binder from the box. This is a very scrappy, busy quilt. Okay. You could put quilting all over it and you probably won't see a lot of it. Okay. It's going to be more of like you can tell it's quilted and that's it. But if you put, I don't know, some little rickrack on here, maybe use a sparkly thread or more of a satin, a bolder stitch, you might see some of that, but you may not. I mean, it's a very busy quilt. Okay. So a lot of these elements, when you're looking at it one block at a time, is going to feel like a lot sometimes. But then when you step back and have all 25 done, and this is a 58 by 58 inch quilt, you're going to go, oh, yeah, I probably could have added more, like it's just one of those that you when we're looking at it right here, one block at a time, it's going to feel like a lot. And when we step back and see it as a whole, you're going to go, oh, okay.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I appreciate that.
It's adding flair. And I am a firm believer that there's no such thing as too much flair.
I love that.
You decide what's enough for you. Okay. You have permission. All right. So let's start by talking about applique. All right. I've got a couple of like stitch out samples I want to show you guys. We're not going to do all of these methods today. And this is one of them that we're not going to do, but I just like to show it since we're on topic with it. This is turned edge applique, meaning I cut all of these pieces. I stitched it right sides together, and then I flipped it over, and then I blanket stitched it down. And I did it with a white thread so you could see the stitches on camera, but it means that there's no raw edges. Okay. It's a very scrappy, fun look, but there's no raw edges. And a lot of people will stitch this down with a clear thread so you don't even see the stitches. It looks like it's just floating on top with a clear thread. So this is a fun way to add some dimension to a quilt. Maybe you have a quilt that's a more simple design and you want to add something to it. This is a fun way to do that. We're not going to go over the process of turned edge applique. That is more of an advanced technique, but I wanted to show you to see the different types of applique. This one's really fun. I have a friend that I used to work with, and she did a beach quilt, and she did a whole beach ball in this turned edge. So each color of the beach ball was a different turned edge piece. It was beautiful. I always think about that when I think of turned edge. All right. So today I'm going to show you a couple of methods for applique. There's circle. This is actually a reverse applique. So the fabric's on the back, and we stitched it down, and then we removed the denim fabric on top, and then we did like different stitches around it to show that. But what I want to show here is the stitching method, how it looks a little different on a circle versus a square. Now, most of what we're going to be working with these trees are hard edges and lines. We're not really dealing with circles unless you chose to cut out all of those little circles to put on some of these trees. And that was optional. I did not, but we can talk about sewing these stitches in circles versus sewing them in straight lines. We're going to talk about one of my favorite stitches, which is this right here. Do you see this? I kicked my camera. It's shaking. This is a satin stitch, and I'm going to show you how to do a satin stitch today. It's just a really tight zigzag. We also have just a simple straight stitch that you can do along the edge. We have a wider zigzag stitch. We have different like blanket stitches and stuff that you can do that go along the edge of the fabric and then just tack into it. There are so many options. There's also decorative stitches. So if you have a machine that does more than a straight stitch, then you probably have some decorative stitches. Melody, I know you have quite a few decorative stitches on your machine. I have thousands. I do.
I've been scared to try any of them.
Okay.
So far.
I love that. I love that. Let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take these trees and we're going to set them aside. And I would highly recommend, if you've never done applique, you grab some sort of scrap fabric. Okay. Some sort of scrap fabric. I've got, what is this? I'm going backwards here. I found this in my stash of like samples I had made for other videos. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'm just going to grab this and stitch around this. These are actually knee patches that I had sampled, and I pressed them onto this fabric. And I don't know why I still had this, but I'm so glad I did, because I'm just going to stitch around these and show you. So you'll see straight edges. You'll see some curves. We'll talk about all of that. But I'm going to do some different stitches on here. But I really recommend that you don't have to have knee patches, but you could take some heat and bond and cut out any shape. Doesn't have to be a tree. It could be, or you may want to do an extra tree just to practice, right? And then, play with different stitches. Maybe do a different stitch down one side, and then this is a different stitch, and this is a different stitch, and just play so that you can decide what stitches you like before you start doing all of your blocks. Okay. But
Bethany, that's what I did. That's what I did per your suggestion. And I really appreciated that you told me, because I was so torn as to what to do. I didn't know what I would like. I have all of my trees pressed. And then Bethany said to me, make another one and practice on it. Mm-hmm. So luckily in this kit, there is so much extra stuff. So I did one more tree so that I can try all these different stitches and decide how I want it to be going forward with all of them. So I appreciate that. So if you guys didn't do that, Bethany suggested that to me this morning. And perhaps so I hurried and did
too.
Yeah, I did another one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
and you could
I'm so visual. I have to see what it's going to be. So I'm glad I did a tree to practice on.
Okay, so let's talk about no matter what you're starting with, whether it's a scrap piece of fabric or an extra tree, or you're just going to jump right in, and I love you for it, because that's usually how I roll. You're going to need stabilizer. This was on the supply list that Corey and I shared with you guys on Wednesday, and we also sent it out in an email through CutterPillar last week as well. This is a stabilizer. I recommend a tearaway stabilizer. And what that means, I'm going to switch back over to this camera. What that means, and I clearly need to get some more, is when I go to tear it, it actually tears. There's cutaway stabilizers. There's sticky tearaway stabilizers. Like I have a sticky one on the back of this. That means that it's adhesive, a temporary adhesive, and it sticks to the back. And so it doesn't move, right? And that's great for some projects, but for these little quilting ones, I decided just to use a regular tearaway, okay? And I'm going to place a piece of my tearaway stabilizer across the back of my quilt block that I'm going to be appliquing on. Now, why do I need stabilizer? Anybody want to tell me in the comments? Anybody want to guess why we might want some stabilizer on the back of our fabric before we do our applique?
Because it'll hold your stitches, right?
Exactly. So what we're doing here is we're creating some, good job. Brownie points for Melody. All right, here's my samples.
Yay!
What we're doing here is we're going to be putting in a lot of stitches in a small space or in a certain direction. And we want these to lay nice and flat. We don't want any puckering. We want them to stay nice and secure. So having a stabilizer on the back, and you can see on this one, I actually use the sticky stabilizer because it's denim, so it can handle the sticky stabilizer. I wouldn't use a sticky stabilizer on a thin quilting cotton because it can be a little too sticky for it, but it's securing the stitches. So when I'm done, I can actually pull this off and tear it away, and it will live right under those stitches, especially like satin stitches. It won't come out from under those stitches, but that's on purpose. It's to keep them stable, right? That's why it's called stabilizer. It keeps it stable, and then they always look nice on the front. Has anybody ever gotten something monogrammed and like a shirt? Okay, I'm going to give you an example. I bought a shirt off of a major store online that is known for monogramming everything. Okay. And it was a cute long sleeve t-shirt, and I had them monogram my initials on the pocket. Okay. I'm pointing over here, but it was like a pocket. And I loved that shirt. The moment I took it out of the box, I was like, this is perfect. I had something cute. I think the dog's on it on the back. I just really thought it was cute. Anyways, I washed it once, and as soon as I pulled it out of the dryer, that entire embroidery design was like scrunched up and would not lay flat. I had pressed it, I had ironed it, I had tried to do everything I could, and it's not that they didn't use stabilizer, they did. They used the wrong type of stabilizer, and they didn't use the right combination of stabilizers for a stretchy knit shirt. So as soon as I washed it and that shirt wanted to shrink up, guess what happened? If they had used the right stabilizers, then that wouldn't have happened. My pocket would have stayed nice and flat, and my monogram would have still been legible, and my shirt would have still been cute. I only wore that shirt once. It was awful. And I learned a lot from that because I love to do embroidery. So whether you're doing embroidery or applique, the concept applies. You need to make sure you're using the right stabilizer. And in some cases, you might need more than one type of stabilizer. Okay. If you're confused about what to use, there's a lot of charts and graphs, especially for companies that sell stabilizers. They'll have usually guides to tell you, like, if you're sewing this material, you're probably going to need these stabilizers. Okay. So just keep that in mind. But when in doubt, at least put something behind it. So for this project, tearaway stabilizer is plenty. Okay. We're not going to do anything super heavy, but if you were going to put something on like a stretchy shirt, you're going to need other things. Or if you're going to applique or embroider on a towel, you're going to need something on the top and the bottom. And there's a lot of knowledge that comes into that. But I'm just letting you know that there's a lot of stabilizer options out there. Just make sure you're using the right one. But for this project, you just need tearaway, which is the most common. and most frequently used. And a lot of times if you're adding something else, you're using tearaway and something else, or cutaway and something else. So we're going to use tearaway, and we're going to put it behind this. I'm actually using a sticky tearaway on this sample. And I'm going to show you a couple of stitches. I also wanted to pull out, let me see if I can grab. I'm not sewing on my Singer today, but I'm sewing on my big machine today, only because I had it set up for another sew along yesterday and I didn't feel like moving it again. But I want to show you some stitches on this machine, because I think you guys are probably going to see these stitches more commonly than on your machines. So let me change my little camera here. You like my little cow I stuck on there? It's actually from one of my coffee cup stoppers from my favorite coffee shop. They put these little stickers on top of your coffee cup so they don't spill in the car. And I just thought he was so cute. So I put him. Thank you, Eric, for putting a cow in the chat. Okay. All right. So your machine may look a little different. Obviously, I'm using, this is one of my Singers, but this is what's nice about this machine. It's got some of the most commonly used like stitches right here on the front. Yours may or may not have that. They may have them somewhere else. Or it may be a dial, but these are some of the most common ones. So you do not have to have a machine that has a lot of stitches. That's what I'm trying to point out here. You have a straight stitch. You can have a triple straight stitch. That is a really good way to secure your applique. You have what's called a lightning bolt stitch. Let me zoom in a little more. This lightning bolt stitch is actually really good for stretch fabric. So if you're going to applique something onto stretchy fabric, use the lightning bolt stitch. You got a zigzag. This right here, the dotted line zigzag, that's a stretch zigzag. Well, they're both stretchy, but like that's a triple stitch zigzag, meaning it's doing, instead of just tacking one back and forth, this has got an extra tack in between the zig and the zag. Okay. This is a triple zigzag. This is, oh, I can't think of what this is called right now. That's not blanket stitch. That's blanket stitch. Anyways, they all have different names and everybody calls them something different, but all of these, great options for applique to keep it simple. You don't have to go far. Okay. Let's scroll down. Here we go. There we go. So mine has these little slide outs with all of these decorative stitches. Yours may flip up on the top. They may have them all listed on the side. Wherever your decorative stitches are, open them up. This is a great time to play. So we've got a lot of options in here. I'm going to point out a couple that I like. All right. I've used a lot off this top row right here. This top row is really fun. I've used this number 4 right here, where it's kind of like that one that was on the front of the machine, but it's got an extra stitch on both sides, just a little more secure. I've used number 6 on my binding before. Super fun. Have fun with it. Play with it. Try different ones. Obviously, we're not going to do buttonholes. And then there's some other fun ones here. This is where we're going to really play, okay? These are dense stitches, kind of like a satin stitch. And I'm going to show you how to create a straight satin stitch. But these are more dense stitches, okay? These can be a lot of fun. These like curves right here, these could be fun going across the front of your Christmas tree like garland. Okay, have some fun with it. We have these little cross stitches. Those are fun. Here's some more little hash stitches. Have fun with it. Let's see what else is on my list here. I love all of these. Look, I even have a spool and some scissors I could plug in there. There's some in here that look like leaves and garland. So those could be fun. That almost looks like a string of Christmas lights. You could think it looks like that. So you can play around with these. Yours may look a little different. Okay. If you want to do some like squiggles to fill in like your tree trunk or the tree stand in small little places, you can. Have fun with it. Look at the cute little stars. You could do a row of stars across it.
Bethany, I have a question.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at these decorative stitches for your applique process that we're talking about, when you use ones like you said, the squiggles or things like that on the tree trunk, you're talking about not just around the edges then. You're talking about through the whole thing?
Yeah. And why not? Why not?
Okay.
We're gonna have some fun and play. And let me show you what I mean.
Okay.
I could take this tree right here, and maybe I'd take those little that little star one. And what I'm going to show you to do is maybe draw some lines to have some guides. until you get comfortable with them, because we don't want to go in a straight line across. I mean, you could, but maybe we want it to kind of drape back and forth like garland, you know? You could do decorative stitches. I could do that in a pretty red satin. I could also do it in this pretty gold. We're going to play with thread colors. We're going to play with stitch choices. And that's where everybody,
so many things.
And that's
I'm
where
so
it can be a little overwhelming because we have a lot of options. But could you just imagine some little garland on here? And all you have to do is create some fun little stitches. And on a busy print, it's just a little extra pop, right? Yeah. Like this one right here has a lot going on. Anything I stitch on this, you're probably not really going to see. So I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time filling in the gaps here. I'm probably just going to focus on outlining it, and maybe putting a little button here or something. But this one to me says it needs flair. It's a little too simple, and it would really show up. Okay, so pick and choose. This one is a very busy design, but I cannot see a difference. It's hard to see a difference from where my background ends and my tree begins because it's a white on white. I'm going to do a very bold satin stitch to outline this one. That's my choice, right? Because I really want it to feel like a tree. This is a totally different look than the green one. So I just wanted to show you guys, look at your decorative stitches. Have fun with them. Play with them. This one, I got to lean my machine back. This one wants to, I broke the little tab off of this one. I travel with this machine quite a bit. This one also has lettering. Don't be afraid to have some fun with lettering. You could put some words like Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or Ho 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 or Santa or whatever you want. You could put that on your Christmas trees or anywhere on this quilt. I mean, it is a scrappy quilt, so have fun and play. But before we play, we are going to practice. We're going to practice. So let me move this back. Yeah.
I'm scared.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared. It won't bite. I will tell you, I am using my other machine today. Like I said, it was already set up and it's a beast. You can see how big it is just on this one side. It's got a ton of options, which that can be overwhelming. And all the ideas and inspiration I'm giving you guys is going to make it feel a little overwhelming. But that's why I want you to practice. Let's talk about threads real quick. Okay. I promise we'll get to stitching in a second. When it comes to applique, you have a lot of options. You do have a lot of options. So if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat. But I think you guys are being quiet because you're probably taking notes, which I love. So when it comes to applique, you have so many choices when it comes to thread. But my go-to for applique is also what I use for embroidery, machine embroidery, and that is embroidery thread or rayon thread. That is going to be your threads that have a nice shiny sheen to it. These are so pretty. Okay. Shiny sheen to it. I'm going to hold up just a regular red. That's cotton. See how this is more of a dull color? You can absolutely use that. Okay. But the shininess really makes it pop. And you're going to see that when we do some of these stitches, especially on a satin stitch where it's really bold, this is a rayon in white. It's got a nice little shine to it. It's like a nice little outline. This is also a rayon in black. There are thousands and thousands of colors. I'm going to try to see. Now this one right here is a glitter thread. I have not opened and used this one, but I pulled it out of my stash when I saw it because I was like, ooh, gold. Let's play with gold. So any shiny, sparkly thing, if you want to add some fun, this would make a pretty little tinsel garland. Oh, well, that didn't open, did it? See if I can take it off. And I'm the worst at getting this stuff off. I am not using my teeth, I promise. I tried. That didn't work, so. Oh, Christy got the variegated thread. Okay, so variegated thread is where, this is a variegated thread, but this is like shades of green, where the thread kind of changes colors as you are stitching. So fun. I have a ton of variegated threads, and variegated threads are perfect for applique, especially when you want to have fun and play. And have you ever used those pins? Y'all remember those pins where they had like 5 or 6 different colors on them, and you would push down the different colors, and one pin would draw like all these different colors. I loved those things. And to me, that's kind of what variegated threads feel like. Okay, I finally got all that plastic off. Let's see what this looks like. I haven't used this before, so we're going to play with it. Where does it start? Not right there. Here we go. Ooh, this straight up looks like gold tinsel. Look at that. Now, stuff like this can be a little challenging to sew with, so we're going to pick easier stitches so that it doesn't snap and break. But yes, Catherine says she's got some Christmas colors. I love it. All right, so I am definitely going to play with this one for sure, but I am going to use a lot of satin rayon threads. These are Robuson Anton. I have Sulky. I think this one's Premier. There's so many different thread options out there. This one's just thread. There's lots of choices, and there's no wrong choice. And then there's always clear. So maybe you want to just tack things down around the border and you don't want to see the stitch, use a clear thread. That's options too. Okay. So let's get to stitching. The first thing I want to show you is how to set up your machine for a satin stitch, because it is the most common applique stitch, and it's going to cover your edges so you don't have any fraying or anything like any exposed edges. Okay, so I'm going to do it on this. I'm going to switch over to this camera, which, where's my remote? Okay, yeah, that was the right remote. All right, but it's very zoomed in. So now I already have a red satin, a red rayon thread in this machine, and give me just a minute to find my satin stitch, but I'm going to tell you how to make a satin stitch for yourself on your machine. And the reason I'm sharing this is because on my Singer Heavy Duty that I just showed you, you're going to pick a zigzag stitch, and you're going to take the length of that stitch and make it as low as it'll go. And then the width is up to you. I like a wider satin stitch, but you can choose to do a more narrow one. But you want the length to be as short as it'll go. Some machines go down to 0.3, but that's how you're going to set your satin stitch. Like Melody, that's how you're going to set the satin stitch on yours. My zigzag on this one, on my FOF, doesn't let me take a zigzag and turn it into a satin stitch, so I have to pick the satin stitch on my machine. And I sometimes forget which one. I think this is it. Let me do a little test stitch and we'll see. Now, I want to point out something. Do you see my foot that I have on? You may or may not have one of these, and that's okay. You don't necessarily need it, but I'm going to tell you why I love it for applique. Let me see here. This is my normal foot, and there's a lot going on right here in the front of the foot. And mine is actually a little clear, but there's a lot going on right here. So sometimes it can be kind of hard to see where I'm going and what it's looking like. Whereas this one, this is called an open toe foot. It's an open toe foot specifically for applique. And I'm going to put in my system. There we go. So what that means is I have a more visibility as I'm going into my stitching. So I can see where I'm going, when I need to stop. I could see my needle. There's nothing in front of me and my needle. There's just these two little toes on either side. Just a really wide open toe foot. Absolutely a must when you do a lot more applique. Okay. Now it does have this center line, and maybe a little hard to see. Where's my, let me zoom in a little bit. And I'm trying to straddle this camera so you guys can see, but I also have to sew. So I'm going to do my best here because I wanted you guys to be able to see. There is a line right in the center of this foot. Let me move my little red thread here. Mine has a line right here, meaning it's going to give me a guide to kind of keep this here, but I'm going to give you a little tip. When you're doing applique and you want your applique to last as long as possible for wear and tear, the trick is you want as much of the stitch on your attached fabric and just catching the edge along the edge. Okay, so we want most of this satin stitch on our piece that we've attached. Don't really want to split the difference. We want more of it on here because this is a smaller piece. This is our main piece. The main piece is fine. We just want to keep this in place. So the key is to using, putting it not so much center, but a little off to the side because we want as much of this satin stitch onto the applique piece. Now let's see what my stitch looks like. I haven't done this one in a while on this machine. All right, here we go. This is my satin stitch. So I selected the satin stitch on my machine, but your machine, you may just have the zigzag. And you're going to take the zigzag and shorten the length as far down as it'll go. All right. So here's another tip. We're about to go around a curve. This is the same tip for points, okay? When you're sewing applique, you want the design to the left so that you're always going the same way. So I have stopped with my needle down in the right position, okay? So if we have a zigzag, I want the needle down on my zag, right? Zigzag, put the needle down on the zag, right? On the right-hand side. My foot lifts a little bit, and I'm just going to pivot my fabric, and then I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to take it nice and slow around some of these curves. All right, and then I'm going to stop with my needle down on the zag or the right side, and I'm going to turn my fabric a little more. When we do it that way, we don't end up with any gaps around the outside edge of our applique, of our satin stitch. If we were to stop on the inside and turn, we would have gaps in our stitches around this curve. So same for points, same for corners, same for edges. We want to stop with our needle on the right-hand side and then keep going. And these curves, you got to take a little bit at a time. Any sharp corners, we're going to take a little at a time. I'm going to flip it a little more. Okay, do you see how the right side of my satin stitch is now just catching right off the edge of my applique? That means my applique is not going to go anywhere. I'm really framing it in. I love this stitch so much. It's like taking a Sharpie and outlining your design in a nice bold outline. It is so fun. Any questions, please put them in the chat. I'd be happy to answer. And I'm going to go around this one a little bit more. And I'm going to check one thing and see if I can edit my stitch. I am going to change this stitch length down a little bit more. So mine was at 1. And at 1, you can still see a little bit of a gap here. It's not horrible, not ideal, but it's not bad. And this is why we test things, okay? Now I've lowered my stitch length all the way down to 0.4. So now my stitches are going to be even tighter. And this is the look that, now it's going to go a little slower, so I'm going to go faster. I have to say, this is honestly one of my favorite things to do. Fabric's caught. It is just so satisfying. And you're going to see in a second what I mean. now that I've gone around and changed my stitch length. It is so pretty. It is a little more time consuming. Where did my snips go? I just had them. Here they are. My starting thread, I'm going to just snip that because I want to encapsulate that as I go back over this point. And I'm come back around to where I started. And then to finish off, I'm just going to do a little back stitch. And where's my scissors snip? All right, you guys ready for this? Look at the difference. Let me see if I can show her here. Look at the difference between a 1 millimeter stitch length and a 0.4 millimeter stitch length. Do you see that? Let me turn this around. Hold on. It's like making a patch. It's like that dense satin stitch is just so good. It is so good. I love a satin stitch. Now this is a little bit of a wider one. Mine's set at a 6 millimeter stitch length. You can narrow that down, then you'll go a little faster. But I am not pushing this through the machine. It's going to feel slow at times. I am not pushing it through the machine. I am letting the machine guide it, but we are doing a ton of stitching right through here. These are a little looser. You get to choose what you like. It's totally up to you. But isn't that fun? It feels good. And with that satin, that rayon thread, it's just so pretty and shiny. So pretty and shiny. Now let's look at the back real quick. Can you see now why we need stabilizer? Look at how many more stitches we had through here where it was really tight and bold versus here. But that's a lot of holes we've just put through this fabric, both our applique piece and our backing fabric. This is why we need tearaway stabilizer. And then when I'm done, I'm just going to tear it away just like that. It perforates it. Okay. This is a sticky one, so I had to kind of pull. And then I would take it off the center too, so that my fabric still has softness and flexibility, but my stitches are stable. It's still in here. Okay. It'll soften up over time with wear. Oh, there is an ant crawling across my sewing machine. That was really weird. Anyways, can you tell we've had a cold snap and they all want to come in my house right now? Anyway, so yeah. This is the difference. Any questions? Anybody have a preference on their satin stitch? Do they prefer something a little looser, or do they prefer like this really tight? There's a time and a place. Am I going to do this on every single one of these trees? No, I will be here all day. But you know what? I am absolutely doing it on this one, where it's like hard to tell where my tree begins and my background begins. You know, there's not a lot of color difference here. This is a good one to satin stitch around, okay? Let's talk about a couple things real quick. Let's pick a different one. Any questions? You guys are quiet today. Making me a little nervous. I'm going to pick a different stitch. Melody, I want to check in with you. How are you doing? While I look for another stitch to play with and show you guys. You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Okay.
There you go.
There I am. There I am. So I've been practicing all the stitches, and you're going to be very disappointed in me. But you know what? On this green tree that I did, do you know which one I like the best?
Yeah.
Just the straight one. Because when you were talking about earlier, it makes it a little raw edge, a little scrappy. I really like that look.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And I removed myself because I didn't want them to hear both of our machines at the same time.
Can you hear my machine a lot?
I can't hear it a lot, no. But
okay.
I didn't
my microphone is built to like kind of take away background noise. So when I first start stitching, you'll hear it, and then it usually mutes it. Yeah. We need a recording of stitching as ASMR. Yeah. Let's see here. Let me pick.
But here, Bethany, I don't know if you can see this, but I did around my tree, I did straight and then little zigzags and then more zigzags. And then I did the blanket across the bottom, and I did tiny little satin, and then I did bigger satin over here. And I think the thing I like the best is the straight, which I know is crazy, and
that's fine. And you can take, it's really cute. And I saw Diane do this with laser cut quilt kits. I saw it on one of her quilts at the quilt market, because they do all that applique too. is she took a black and went around the outline of a design a couple of times in a straight stitch, but she didn't follow the line every time. So it looked like she doodled around it. Like she had sketched around it with black. It was so cute. It was so stinking cute. So you can make it look like you just took a pen and doodled around it, and it doesn't have to be precise. Let's do this one. Let me switch this.
So let me ask you a quick question. I think you mentioned this the other day, but if I do decide to just do the straight stitch around it, I do not need to have the interfacing on the back, right? I don't need to have that tear away unless I do more stitches. Is that right?
Correct. I think with just a straight stitch, you'll be okay, because you have the fuse there. If you're going to do anything more than that, a decorative stitch across the tree, or even like a smaller zigzag, or I find that it creates more stability.
Gotcha.
Personally.
Yeah.
So the stitch that I picked for my next sample, and this is truly just a random stitch on my machine. You may have one similar. It's called a closed overlock stitch. It's actually meant for patching or hems. It's kind of giving like an overcast look. It's like creating like a back and forth triangle. It goes a little faster. Can you see what that's looking like a little bit back there? All this stuff in the way. Again, I like to stop at the right-hand side, and then I can pivot. I do not expect you guys to applique as fast as I do. But I have appliqued for a really long time. One of my first projects I ever did was when I was 7 or 8, and it was applique. So like I've been doing this for a hot minute. This is like a crosshatch or overlock stitch. Super fun, super playful, adds some fun texture, secures your edges, but then you can still see them. You could line this outside stitch with the edge of your piece if you want. If you want to see more of the thread on both pieces, you can kind of split the difference like I did here to help you guys see it a little better. But that gives it like that scrappy look, which goes on well with our theme of our quilt. I'll often do a blanket stitch. Do you have any tips for that? Let me see if I can find my blanket stitch on here. This machine has so many options that I sometimes struggle with finding my stitches. I feel like it should be in my utility stitches, but that's all like closed overlock stitches. I found a blind hem stitch. It's just a simple blanket stitch. Sometimes having too many options can be a problem. I'm like tapping on all the buttons. I'll find it eventually. Hopefully. Maybe. Sorry, guys. I love this machine, but there's a lot to choose from. And there's a lot of buttons. I have a stitch that literally makes animals. I could literally do little animals on all my trees, which is ridiculous. Well, okay, I'm just going to show you right here. Let me pull this back up. So this is that like blanket stitch, right here, where you've got a straight stitch for a few stitches and then it tacks in like a zigzag. So it just does a little tack. I line that straight stitch up with the edge of my applique so that my tack goes into the applique. Okay. So the right side of your foot is going to be that edge. So when you first select this stitch, your needle is going to start with the straight stitch. It's going to start with that first few straight stitches. So wherever your needle is, line that up with the edge of your fabric, and then it's going to do a few stitches, and then it's going to tack in. Do a few stitches, and then it's going to tack in. Which side has the legs? Do you mean the little tacks here? And then I do have one that looks like this. Let me just do this one real quick. It's similar, but it doesn't have the so see how my needle's all the way over to the right hand side? One thing you can do is use your hand wheel. Ooh, that's hitting my foot. Let me adjust this stitch a little bit because this is not this machine does a really wide stitch. That's better. But this is not the foot for that. So I'm using my hand wheel to drop my needle down right to the edge of my applique. Once it's there, I'm going to drop my foot. Oh, it's telling me I can't use my built-in walking foot. There we go. All right, so it's going to do a couple of straight stitches, and then it's going to... Okay, mine is this one's a little different, but it's the same concept. So mine's going back and forth and then tacking in. But I'm just keeping that edge of my applique kind of lined up with the edge of that foot, or the inside edge of this foot. This is actually a really cute stitch. I may use this one. I just picked it at random because it kind of does the same concept of you're going along the edge of the fabric and then it's tacking in. And I'm actually going to up right here. So you can see how I've followed along the edge of the applique and my tacks are going in. So whether you're using a stitch like this that just tacks in like that, or if you're using one like this that tacks in with like a little V shape, like a traditional blanket stitch, which I cannot seem to find on this machine right now, but I know it exists. But anyways, you just want to make sure that your needle stays along that edge, okay? You're not stitching that into the applique. That's kind of hidden. This is a fun one where if you're wanting to hide the stitches a little bit, sorry, I kicked my camera. You want to hide the stitches a little bit, you can do this with a clear stitch, a clear thread. And this is a common stitch used for turned edge applique, where it kind of goes along. So it's kind of hard to see here, where it goes along the edge of the design and then it just tacks in. So it's just kind of hidden. I used white on this one, so it would show up on camera. But if I used clear, from afar, you wouldn't really be able to see that. Okay. But then you can get kind of hidden stitches in there and it's just barely tacked in. Okay. So you can do a lot, play around with it, have fun. But yeah, line up your stitch is always going to start with that first straightaway. For me, it was like a back tack a couple times and then it tacked in a couple times for this stitch. This one's actually really cute. Really cute. All right, let's talk about something else real quick. If you guys have any questions about the stitches, let me know. But you can see right here, we did satin stitch. We did this fun like overlock stitch. I just did this. What was this one called? I have a little help button that tells me what they're all called. This is a crazy patch stitch. It's so crazy. It's super fun. Great question, Lindell. When you use clear thread, what do you use in the bobbin? For applique, because we don't have the back of the quilt on yet, I just used a white cotton thread because this stuff is so thin that I'll use something a little heavier in my bobbin to give me a little more stability. Okay. But if you use a thicker one of these, you could put the same in the bobbin, but this stuff is a little more pricey than just a regular cotton thread. So I think I just have a white in my bobbin, and using this in the top is totally fine. So great question. When it comes to doing the satin or the rayon thread, there's a few opinions. When it comes to applique, it doesn't really matter. I have a cotton bobbin in there right now. But if you want to be technical, I'm going to show you something real quick. I have a few bins of thread, just a few. But there are bobbin thread for embroidery. So if you're going to do a lot of this dense satin stitch right here, you're going to probably want to put this in your bobbin because this is thinner than that rayon. And so then it's not so dense. Okay. Like doing that dense stitch, the satin stitch with a heavier bobbin, it's just going to create more density, right? And more thickness. If you don't want that and you want it to lay really nice and smooth, get a rayon bobbin thread to go with your rayon top thread for those denser stitches. This isn't really necessary for like looser stitches or decorative stitches that are more like kind of all over. But for that dense satin stitch or embroidery, you're going to want to use an embroidery bobbin, which is a thinner thread than all of these beautiful rayon threads that I have here. I had wanted to make sure I was doing it right. How far in should the text go into the applique? That's personal preference, and a lot of machines have settings so you can choose. So again, practice. If you want it to be more visible, make it a little, like, set the width of that tack to be a little wider. If you want it to be shorter, set the width of your tack to be shorter. The length of your stitch you're not really going to change, but the width you can on when they tack in. So for example, on this one, let me go overhead. Actually, you're not going to be able to see that. On this one, I could have chosen to not have it tack in so far. So it could have been like half that distance in, because that's kind of far in, because that's a small piece of applique. But on a bigger piece of applique, like these trees, it wouldn't be that noticeable, right? So also depends on how big of a piece we're stitching down. Eric has a question. When you stitch and don't stop to pivot on the corners, does that affect any of the way of the stitching? Yeah. So paying attention as you go and making sure that you are stopping and pivoting is going to have an impact on those edges. That's a fantastic question. That's why I said stop with your needle in the right position when you're going around that curve. Now, if you're taking a curve in the other direction, you're going to stop with it in the left. You want your needle to stop on the outside edge of your applique, not on the inside edge. That's the key, okay, on curves or points. So yeah, great question. Great question. What was I going to show you next? Any other questions? What do you do when you approach outside or inside corners? Yes, yes, okay. Let's see here. So this is a great one to play with to really advance your skills and do more of like a satin stitch around to practice. But when you're going around, you're stitching, your needle's staying along this right side, okay? But then when we get to here, we're going to stop and pivot our fabric and come back around here, okay? So now I'm going around this curve and around this curve. I try to always keep, as I mentioned before, my applique is to the left of my needle. So when it is on the machine, my applique design is to this way. So I'm usually going the same way, but if I needed to go back this way, then you need to just make sure that your needle always stops on the right side of your fabric. So if I'm coming in and I need to pivot to the other direction, then maybe I need to have the needle stop on the other side. You don't want to stop into your applique. You want to stop outside of your applique, okay? As points get smaller, I'm not sure what that means. What do you do when you approach inside and outside corners as points get smaller? Okay, let's look at one of these. Good questions, guys. I love it. I'm here for it. I'm going to set up one of these trees real quick, and we're just going to go around one of them, and I'm going to do this really light one this really light colored one, because you can't see it with the white on white. And since this is my finished one, I am going to pick a different thread color. So give me just a second. Ooh, that's kind of like an emerald green. That's like a deep forest green. Maybe we'll use that one. I really should put these on a rack and be able to see them better. But that's okay. Oh, maybe this one. I'll let you guys help me pick which color green. You get to choose. I think that's like the best greens I got that are like rayon, because I think I want to do a satin stitch around this one. Really highlight it. All right, I'm going to show you these colors and then you tell me which one I should use. You tell me. Melody, you got to give me your opinions too. All right, here is.
So Bethany, let me ask you a quick question.
Go for it.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
When you're doing the different colors, are you changing your bobbin thread as well, or just the top thread?
Just the top thread. The bobbin is not going to be seen, and it can just be white or whatever you have extra of on hand. So if you have a bobbin that has got a color on it that you're like, I'm probably never going to use this color again, just use that. As long as your tension's fine, you should never see it on the front of your fabric. If you are seeing your bobbin color
on my tension.
Yeah, but you should be fine. You should be fine. If you are seeing the color of your bobbin on the top of your fabric, then you may want to match your bobbin to your top, but it's not necessary because we're not going to see the back of this. We're stitching the blocks, but then after this, we're going to make quilt sandwiches and quilt. So you know what I mean? Like we're going to piece this and make a quilt sandwich and quilt it. So all of these stitches on the back of these are going to be hidden. This is not going to be shown. We have not sandwiched this. There's no batting. There's no backing. This is just the quilt blocks individually. Okay. I've got 3 colors, Melody. I've got like an emerald green. This one is, well, I don't know what color it is. This one just says green. This is like an emerald green. This one is palmetto.
This one is green.
This is like a palmetto green is what it's called. And this one also just says green, but it's really a darker green. But like I feel like they all.
Yeah, that was more piney, foresty.
This one. And I feel like it kind of goes well.
Think the one. Yes. Because that one feels more like a pine tree to me.
Yeah. This one looks like a dirty diaper. And this one looks like Under the Sea. And so I think this dark one, it's almost like a black, but it's like the color of the pines. I'm going to use this one. So let me swap out my threads real quick. And I'll pick another.
I think that's a good one.
Satin stitch. Yeah.
I think that one's a really good one.
If you don't know,
like a pine tree.
These little mini spools like this, not like this, okay? But these, they have a little pop down that opens up, and that's how you keep your threads from getting tangled. You just loop that in there and snap it shut, okay? Thread management.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's what it's for. So any of the spools that are shaped like this should have that little pop down. This gold one has it too.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's wonderful because these are such like fine threads. So after I stitch around this tree, we can do some decorative, we could do some decorative stitches, and I can do those on another one. Everybody's saying the darkest color. Yeah, you got to open your threads. Now a regular, like this one right here, this one doesn't have it. This one doesn't. And these kind of shapes don't have it. But most like
Christy, I did not know that either. I had no idea. I did not know that either.
This is a cotton one. Hold on. I can't believe y'all didn't know this. This is a cotton one, and it just pops open. You just pull it down. It's got a little groove right here to like catch the thread. So as you are winding it around, you just like slide it into there, go around a couple times, and then just snap it shut. And now your threads aren't going to go everywhere. That's why I love these little spools. I love these better than these. Yeah. I feel like I should have told you that a long time ago, but I
I feel like you're hoarding tips for me so that I'll keep learning.
It's those kind of tips you're like, I didn't even know that was a tip because I've done it for so long. You know, you just kind of forget. Sorry, guys.
Oh. I gotta find my other spools of thread so I can play with them.
Yeah. Oh, I need to change my thread. All right, here's another tip for you. Don't pull your thread out of your machine backwards. Snip it, cut your thread at the top, and pull it out at the needle. Okay, you're going to feel like you're wasting thread, but it's not a lot of thread. But your machine is built that all the thread should be going through it in the same direction, not backing back out of it. That's how you're going to get lint and dust and buildup, or get it caught in this whole mechanism right here and have issues. And that's also how you can throw out your tension.
I just moved the base of my red thread. I just moved it.
You just opened it and
I just opened it.
Yep. I love that that's what's blowing y'all's mind today. Not all these applique tips. I'm here for it though.
I mean, those are nice too, I guess, but oh. Wow.
Not the things I spent years mastering. Just the spools of thread.
The little thread tip. Yeah.
Hey, I'll take it. If that made your day, I am happy. Okay, so I've got my thing in here.
Wow. I'm going to play with all of my thread spools now.
Okay, well, I feel like I need to make a video after this and post it on social media. I had no idea how many people...
Did you know, by the way, that you could do this? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let me switch to this. So I'm doing a satin stitch around this tree, and I'm doing this dark green. And I'm starting along the bottom of the tree because it's a long straightaway. And I have my tearaway stabilizer behind it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is going to be nice. Okay, let's talk about something real quick. I just stitched across this tree trunk, and that tree trunk is up underneath the base of this tree when I pressed it on. I technically don't need to stitch over this unless I want to just stitch down the sides or something like that. I'm definitely probably going to do a satin stitch around every single one of my tree bases on all of them because I just love the satin stitch so much. But I may just do like some little swirls around here or just some straight stitch up the side. You don't need to do a whole lot unless you want to do a whole lot. But just also remember the order that you're choosing to stitch in. Like I may go through and just do a couple of straight stitches on the trunks and then do my satin stitch around here and my satin stitch around here. Okay. Order matters when especially when you're doing butting up satin stitches next to each other. I just wanted to share that little tidbit. Okay, so I'm getting to this point. These can be a little tricky, okay? So we're gonna have to finagle. So what you're seeing here is my needle is in the left position, but it's now on this edge of the fabric, which is a little challenging. So what I'm gonna do is actually stop with my needle on the right side and pivot just a little. These points are gonna be hard. Even for me, they are a little challenging. And I'm just taking it a little at a time, and I'm just slowly moving my fabric because I want to encapsulate the whole point. There we go. All right. And then I'm going to turn it, whoop, not that far. Yeah, I didn't mean to go that far. That's okay. And we're going to go back across. But what I did there was just make sure that my right needle was following the outside edge of this, not so much what my left side of the needle was doing. And you can tell from this that you're probably going, okay, I'm not going to take the time to satin stitch around every single one of these trees. But the ones that are hard to read, like this one, I think I only have 2 that are like this. I'm going to take the time to do these. All right, so this time, here's a great example. I think it was Lindell that was asking this question. So now I'm turning in the other direction. I don't narrow the stitch as I go. I want the consistency of how wide my stitch is all the way around, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm now going back this other way. Instead of where my needle is in the right position, I need to kind of pay attention to the needle for the left position. So I'm going to kind of do a couple little stitches. I'm stopping on the left side this time as I pivot around. So I don't have gaps on the left side because I'm going the other direction. All right. I always kind of like have to fiddle with it myself. So I'm getting a little bit of a gap there. I can just go back and catch and close the gap.
It's so quiet when you're doing that, Bethany.
I'm going to stop or else we'll be here all day. But do you see how this is coming out?
Yes. It's so
following
cool.
the outline. So it does take some time and some patience, but you can see how it's going. I actually changed my stitch length because I forgot to do that. So I'll probably go back over this bottom once I get back to it. But see how it's like just outlining it nice and I'm taking my time. And that I would continue that all the way around. And now I'll be able to see where the beginning and end of this tree is. It's like so fun. Okay, let's do. And someone asked stabilizer. I'm just using 1 piece of tearaway stabilizer. If you feel like that's not enough, you can always use more than 1. Steam a Seam is on a roll, and the paper that I would need to remove first has bumps, loose areas. Should I remove it and reposition so that it is smooth in order to trace it easier? You do not need, with the Steam a Seam, you're talking about like the heat and bond, right? The backside of what you're putting on your trees before you press it on. That, all of that stuff's going to have some bumps and stuff in it. It's totally fine. Just trace and press and then you're going to cut out your trees and it'll be absolutely fine. When you press that Steam-A-Seam onto the back of your tree pieces, all those wrinkles will go away. It won't matter. It won't matter at all. I have another question.
Eric's got a question. Eric's got a question for you because he's going to applique soon.
Yeah. Can we use like a pencil to mark down lightly where we need to stitch to follow the pattern? I'm following the edge. I'm lining up the edge of my tree with where my needle's going. So you really don't need to, but that leads me into our next thing that we're going to do real quick. I'm going to take this one, maybe this one. Yeah, I'll do this one. Here's this little green tree. There's not a lot going on with him. He's kind of simple, and that's okay. He's still cute, but we're going to make him cuter. So we're going to take, you can use a water soluble pen, you can use a heat away pen, whatever you want to use. And we're going to draw some little lines back and forth to follow for decorative stitches. Okay. And I am just going to kind of go for it. I'm just doodling this on. I don't have a rhyme or reason, just stitching, or if I had a pen that worked. Okay, let's try a different one.
Catherine, I think you're right. I think that looks really good with that dark green satin stitch around that one tree. That's amazing.
It's just a nice little border for that one.
Yeah.
Why are these pens not wanting to write today? Do I have another one? Yes, I do. How many of these pens do I have? Okay, well, I'm about to get frustrated with my pen situation over here. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing, but I am just freehanding some lines. If you want to get a ruler or a curve or something to follow, you can. But this is just, like Eric was saying, like a guideline. So I've got like a stitch across here. This one's kind of hard to see. And then another one here. Another one here. And last but not least, so we're going to pretend we're putting some garland on our tree. And we can do that with whatever color we want. I'm thinking some gold. Do we want to try the gold? I have not stitched with this, so we can try. What do you think, Melody? Gold or red for my garland on this one? I'm going to follow these lines.
Sorry, I was stitching. I think make it gold.
Okay. We'll see.
Well, maybe make it red because the balls are red. Yeah, make it gold. Gold. Make it sparkle. Make it sparkle.
Make it shine. This stuff can
make
be a bit of a pain in the butt, but it's been a long time since I've stitched with this type of thread. It feels straight up like tinsel. Straight up like tinsel. Well, we're going to give it a go. Let me change this top thread real quick. Remember, we're pulling our threads out from the needle. We're not ripping it out by grabbing our spool. Okay. Save your machines. I wonder if my needle threader will work with this stuff. We're going to find out. Y'all want to watch it? You want to see if it works? I love my needle threader. Oh, it did. Yay. It's so good. It's so good. All right. Now the fun part is picking a stitch. And you know what? Here, I'll move the camera and you guys can maybe help me pick a stitch. There's a lot to choose from. We don't want any of these boring ones. Let's see if there's some fun quilting ones, or let's minimize that. Melody, which stitch should I choose? None of those.
I think no.
I could do like a little scallop back and forth.
Like a scallop might be cute because then it'll kind of swoopy all the way down, right? It'll kind of swoop would be cute. Or like a chain with like a daisy chain or a something chain would be cute.
Oh, the little circles are fun.
Or the little stars, number 14.
Snowflakes. This would be cute too. So it shows what it looks like here on the machine, which is handy.
That would be cute.
Oh, I like that.
Or that would be cute.
That would be cute. So
I would do 15.
You have too many options. I'll do 15, but let's see how big this is. I am not doing 9 inches wide or 9 millimeters wide. That's too wide for my foot.
Oh, I was like 9 inches. Wow.
No. Sorry, I meant 9 millimeters. All right, I have not practiced this stitch, so I am going to take my advice for once and practice it, and we'll see what it looks like, and then we can decide. So let's do it. We'll do it across this one real quick. Let me get in here. Oh, my thread broke. I just saw it snap. Fiddlesticks. That's why I'm like, this stuff's such a pain in the butt to work with sometimes.
Maybe it's because you stitch too fast, my dear.
I mean, I have one speed. We all know that. We all know that. I have one speed
and that is all.
Let me show you the challenge with this stuff. Is it literally shreds? It's like tinsel.
Is it shredding because you're trying to go through the denim to practice on? Or is
that shouldn't matter.
Okay.
It's just a really finicky thread. I stitched an entire dress with this stuff that was in pink, and I was just doing a straight stitch. But look how pretty it was turning out.
Let's see. That'll be so cute, curved across your tree. That will be so cute.
That's why I'm like, ugh. Okay, I will go slower.
Make it work. You can do it. Make it work. I have faith in you, Bethany.
It's shredding again. It's already shredded, and I barely did a few stitches. All right. Well, it was worth a shot. I'm not going to keep messing with that. But I can do it in a different color. So let's do a different color. It's just this thread. It's just, like I said, it's finicky, and this is why we practice and do test stitches. But I can do it in this pretty red. So let's do a pretty red garland. And we'll do
I think that will be cute too, because it's like shiny, right? You'll use your little
rayon shiny stuff. It's on a green tree. There's a red little
that'll be cute.
Ornament in the background. So let's see what this but that is a bummer because the gold was actually really cute. Really cute.
It's really cute.
I just put in a brand new needle, so it's not my needle. It's just that thread.
That's why we test.
Yes.
And you're just kind of holding it, right? You're not pushing it through. You're letting the machine do it.
I'm just curving it. Yeah, this is one of those decorative stitches that's going to go back and forth and side to side. And so I don't want to guide it. But but when it does those few stitches going between, that's my kind of opportunity to create that curve. So let's see.
You have to pay very close attention.
Yeah. Well, let's see how it goes on this. All right. I am going to line.
Lindell says there's a special spinner holder for metallic thread.
I'm sure there is.
See, this kind of stitching on a machine, I don't know that I have the patience for it, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not for everybody. That's okay.
Yeah. I've learned that my adult onset ADHD doesn't lend well to those kinds of things. And
I have to be in the right mindset to do it.
Yeah. Lindell says King Star Metallic is the go-to thread for her. Looks like.
Yeah. I'm gonna just go across one side so you can see what it looks like. That is, oh, didn't snip my thread. There's my snips.
That is super cute.
It is super cute.
And it's super cute with the red because it matches your red ornaments on the back. So that's really cute.
Yeah. So you can pick it. Now, here's one thing I wanted to mention when we are doing if we're talking about doing anything decorative inside here. Okay. I would do this first before I go around and do the stitch around the edge. Okay. That way, if you want to do a satin stitch, it's nice and clean and it kind of keeps all of the edges nice and clean. Or if you want to do a blanket stitch, that I would do whatever you want to do around the edge after you've done anything to this center here. Okay. Now I'm about to show you one other variable, and I'm not going to stitch it down because we've already been hanging out for about an hour and a half now, but I'm going to give you one other idea. So if decorative stitches are something that you're like, I don't think I'm ready for that, I don't know, that's okay. They're not for everybody. But what about something really cute like rickrack?
Yeah.
So I would use some of this basic glue that Corey has linked for us and just lightly glue that down, cut that, and then do a straight stitch across there in the same color. Or you could do a different color, but if you don't want the stitch to show, and that's just you do a straight stitch and it'll tack it down right in the middle. And then you're going to cut it right along the edges of the tree. And then you'll come in and do whatever stitch you want around the edge of the tree. Here's another one for you. You ready? Where's the end? This one I'm actually planning on using quite a bit on this project. Pom-poms.
So cute.
So stinking cute. So I would kind of base this down and stitch it and then cut it. And then I would set up another piece to go across here. And then another piece to go across here. I mean, this is where you can have fun and add dimension. Okay. Also, buttons. You could sew buttons down. You could bells, pom-poms. I'm planning on putting these little wooden stars at the top of my trees. Now, if you're going to do these kind of things, you just need to make sure you leave yourself a 1/4 inch seam allowance because we're going to be sewing this together. So we don't want that to be right at the tippy top because that's in our seam allowance. We need it to be a little further down. Okay. But still super cute. Or you can always add this after you've pieced all of your blocks together. You can always go back and add the button after the fact, which might be easier for piecing. So you don't have any bulk, which is probably what I'll do. Real quick, because we're kind of wrapping up. We've talked a lot about applique. We have talked so much about applique.
So much good stuff.
And I know you're probably going to need to rewatch some of this. For next Wednesday, let's talk about preparing for next Wednesday. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you misbehaving? Did you just eat the spider I killed earlier today? Lovely. Okay. Well, Biscuit.
That'll be fun later, Biscuit. Good job, Biscuit.
I killed it, but she cleaned up the mess. Oh my gosh, girl.
She's handy to have around.
You want some pom-poms in your hair? There you go. That's so pretty. I love how she's just so chill. Okay.
She just lets you do it. It's like, it's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mama. Just do it. It's fine.
This has always been her life. Next Wednesday, Corey had mentioned that if you want to do quilt as you go with these blocks, quilt as you go with these blocks, that what you need to prep is finish appliquing your blocks if you choose to, or at least get them all pressed, and then make them into quilt sandwiches, meaning you're going to need batting and backing that fits each one of these. Okay, 10 by 10 batting and backing. You may actually want a little more batting and backing than the 10 inches because we're going to quilt right to the edge and then we can always trim it up. Okay, give yourself some wiggle room because sometimes that stuff shifts. Okay, if you want to do the quilt as you go method, you're going to want to prep your quilt sandwiches for each block. Okay, and then he's going to walk you through that. If you want to do traditional, make the whole top, then make your whole quilt sandwich and then quilt the whole quilt at one time, then what you're going to do is once you've finished doing any applique or decorative stitches to your 25 trees, then they're going to get sewn up in rows. Okay, so you're going to lay out the design. Where's my pattern here? Oh, I'll just use this. All right, don't fall over. So you're going to decide what order you want all of your trees in. So lay them all out on your bed, on your quilt wall, design wall, on your floor. Take a photo. You can do them in the same order as this, or you can change it up. And then you're going to sew all of these together one at a time. Like sew these two together right here. And then these two, you just keep adding until you have rows of 5. Okay. You're going to have 5 rows of 5 to make a total of 25. Get all of that done. Okay. And then we'll talk about adding the borders and quilting it next week. Or he's going to also share how to do quilt as you go one block at a time, meaning you can free motion or quilt them one block at a time and then put them together. And there's a method that he's going to teach us how to do that. Corey is on Wednesday. So my homework for you is to make sure that all of your 25 Christmas trees, if you're trying to keep up with our sew along, all of your 25 Christmas trees are done with any applique that you're choosing to do, any of that. And if you want to do the quilt as you go, you've got your little, all of them have their own little mini quilt sandwich by block. Or if you want to do one big quilting style with the whole top, that you at least make all the 25 blocks together. Okay. That is the homework. That is my goal, is to get the whole top done. I'm actually going to see if I can get the second kit done, and I'm going to do it both methods. Intro. Are you okay?
I would love that. I would love to see that. Do both of them.
Look at this.
She's just like, oh.
Can I go to bed now? She is so chill. Unbothered. So that's the homework. Play, go get some fun threads, maybe not tinsel. This would be cute to stitch. This would be cute to stitch down rickrack or these pom-poms if you wanted to see the stitch.
Or your buttons. Or your star buttons.
Star buttons, just simple stitches. I wouldn't do it with all those decorative stitches. And I think the challenge is that they're going back and forth on top of each other and they're getting caught up. So, yes, go find some backing fabric. Yes. I need to find, you know what? I think I purchased some at Hobby Lobby because all of their Christmas fabric was half off. So that's an option. Corey also included some backing fabrics if you want some wide backing fabrics in that shopping list. And don't forget, you can use the code SEWALONG10 to get 10% off everything on that shopping list. Eric, did you put the yeah, you did. You put the link in the chat for you to be able to shop all of those products from Corey. I'm trying to think of anything else.
I'm trying to look and see what sort of backing fabric I have. I'm trying to look and see in my cupboard what kind of backing fabric I have right now.
You might find whatever you got. Lindell, do you quilt before adding the buttons? That is a great question. I don't want to see the tack of the button on the back of my quilt, so I'll probably add my buttons before I quilt, and I will quilt around it. And make sure that whatever design I choose, I go around the buttons. If it seems hard, or you don't mind seeing the little tack on the back of the quilt for the buttons, you can do that after you've pieced it all together and quilted it. There's no right or wrong way. I think probably doing it after you've quilted is probably easier for planning purposes, but I'll probably do mine before. because the only thing I want to see on the back of mine is my quilting. So Biscuit is a mood, and she's just fallen over because this is what she's done all day. She needs a bath. All right. Yeah, please go check out Corey's link to Linda's to see what backings they have. They ship very quickly.
They do.
Any other
I just ordered more batting from Corey the other day, so yes, it's on its way.
The fusible batting?
I did. I ordered more fusible batting.
It's so nice. I really like it for smaller projects. So for if you're doing quilt as you go, perfect. For one big quilt, I'm just going to use my other batting and baste it down. But that's my personal preference. But for the quilt as you go method, I have some of that backing or that batting, and I'm going to use it.
Yeah, I think that's
I don't have enough backing for both quilts, so I need to get some more.
Boom.
Decisions.
So for Wednesday, we don't, our homework is not to do the border pieces or the binding yet, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
You might be able to handle that.
It's just getting all of your 25 trees stitched down. If you choose to applique, you don't have to applique. You could just sew them into rows and get the whole top done of all the trees without the borders. If you want to go ahead and put the borders on, you can. Just make sure you're paying attention to the direction of the fabric when you attach it, because it is directional fabric with words. If you're doing the quilt as you go method, you're not going to sew all your blocks together. You're going to do all your applique and make 25 individual quilt sandwiches, and then he's going to show us how to quilt it and then how to put them together.
And then you sew it together. Yeah. Gotcha.
So it depends on how much, and I'm going to show you how to quilt it the traditional way with options, and then and adding the border, and he's going to show you the quilt as you go method. And then the last step on the final day will be any final quilting touches, binding, and just finishing it up. I may order some more of this and put this in my binding.
That would be super cute. I love that.
I don't know if I have my
samples. This has been so good. So much stuff. And I'm telling you, the fact that I can pop the bottom of my thread is like the best thing I've learned in a long time. So thank you for that. We
You're
also
welcome.
want to, man, I might have this figured out. We'll see if that goes away. Look it up.
So fancy.
I'm learning. I love it. I'm so fancy now. Make sure you guys only have this weekend left to register as a VIP to get in on all the rest of the Black Friday giveaways that we've got the rest of the month. So even if you're not purchasing something over the weekend to get that discount that you will get automatically to your email if you sign up to be a VIP, do it anyway, because you'll get this special flash sales that we're doing especially for VIPs throughout the rest of the month, and you'll also be entered to all of the giveaways. Otherwise, you're not. So if you've been like, I don't know if I need to get anything, so I didn't register as a VIP, do it anyway so that you can be in on the giveaways. That's how we tend to do it around here. So we make sure that we have a fresh list for giveaways every time we do a little promo event. So make sure that you sign up for that. There'll be another one for our 12 days of Christmas that comes in December, but do that for this one, because we've got many more lives and many more giveaways to go on during the month of November. So make sure you do that, but you will get your 25%. And more freebies, more fun stuff. You'll get your 25% off coupon code directly to your email as soon as you sign up for your VIP. If you have any questions, as always, email us at support@cutterpillar.com. We're really busy in that email these days, but we will answer as soon as we can. Within 48 hours. We try to go faster than that. It's right now it's me. So I apologize. I'm a little slow these days, but I'm working on it. There's a lot going on. It's holiday season. There's a lot of things happening. So this was so good. Bethany, I'm making a goal to get these applique down before next week.
Well, let me say this. I'm going to give you some encouragement, and this is to everybody. If you're not a part of our Facebook group, the CutterPillar Creations Hub Facebook group, we're almost to 1,000 people in that group, by the way, which is amazing. And it's just the most fun, positive, collective group of people just like us. So as you start stitching, once you get your first block applique, however you chose to do it, take a picture of it and post it in the group. That's my challenge to you guys. At some point this weekend, at least post one block. If you get a couple done, you can post a couple of photos. I would like to see at least one, or maybe your favorite one, or the one that you went a little more, added a little more flair to, or experimented with a new stitch on your machine.
A
you've
little
never
extra
done.
too.
I want to see it. I want you to play. I want you to practice on scrap fabric with some stabilizer. Please, please, please use stabilizer on all of it, except for maybe like the straight stitch around the edges. You don't really need that. But if your tree is lifting at any point, I mean, it can't hurt to have stabilizer. It's not super expensive. Right. Use it. I'm about to order more because I pulled mine out and realized I'm at the bottom of the roll. Like, that's it. That's it. There you go. That's it. And I don't have enough, so I'm gonna have to get some more. But that was loud. But please post some pictures. It'll inspire everybody else that's doing this to keep going this weekend and get it all done. But we'd love to see it. Biscuit, honestly, she would be thrilled to see it. I know she doesn't look like it, but she would be thrilled to see your Christmas trees and how far you've come along.
She doesn't look super thrilled with a lot right this minute, but that's okay.
She is 9 and
right, Biscuit. That's all right. No problem.
She's just tired. Does it have to be cut away?
You know what? I feel that. I think that's okay.
Does it have to be tear away? I would say tear away is the best option. Cut away is another option, but that's a whole lot more work. Okay, because you have to use scissors to cut around it. Tear away, it's like you stitch it and then you pull it and it perforates, right? So I would use tearaway stabilizer for this, because you've got to do 25 if you're going to do all of them. Cutaway is thicker, and if you don't cut it all away, you'll feel it and it'll make your blocks a little more stiffer. If you're hanging it on a wall, it really doesn't matter. But if you want to cuddle with it, it would matter. So I would say tearaway, because then it's going to easily tear away.
I am not letting anybody cuddle with my stuff.
No, because the first one that would take it is this one right here. I have quilts that are meant for cuddling, and then I have quilts that are meant to for decoration. And this to me is one of those that I will decorate with. But if it's a cuddle one, she's the first one to take it. So I don't really want her cuddling with buttons and pom-poms. So that's me. I'm so glad you guys have enjoyed this today.
That's fair.
If you have questions over the weekend as you're working through this, put them in that Facebook group as well. We check it. I try to check it when I can, and I'll try to answer it. Or Melody might see it and she'll message me and I'll go in and answer it. So just let us know any questions you have. Please post update pictures. That goes for you too, Melody. Update pictures of your Christmas trees as you stitch them down. All right. All right, guys.
Oh, these Christmas trees. Yes. Yes.
These Christmas trees, not your house Christmas trees. These sewing ones.
Not my house Christmas trees. Those aren't done yet. Yes, the sewing ones. Perfect. I will do that. Okay.
Catherine, I'm so glad you learned a lot. We will be learning a lot more next week with our Quilt As You Go.
I'm excited for that. Brenda, I'm so excited for that.
Brenda, as soon as this wraps up, which is like in the next 2 minutes, as soon as we wrap up, you can go watch the replay and start from the beginning. Okay. And then if you have any questions, just put them over in the Facebook group and we'll answer them. Okay. All right, guys. Well, have a good weekend. Happy Friday. We'll see you next week on Wednesday for the next Sewalong, but we will be back on Monday for another Black Friday Sewalong, because our Black Friday deals officially start on Monday. But again, last chance to register for Black Friday VIP is Sunday, where you're going to get a better discount, get entered for giveaways, and get some freebies. So go register VIP if you haven't. Eric's going to drop it in the chat one more time. It's also in the description of this video if you're watching the replay. Melody, did you see I posted the rubber ducky tree? Yes, Brenda, we saw it.
Yes, Brenda, we talked about it. Yes.
So good.
We're obsessed. I have to get another tree now. So thanks for that. I have to order another tree, because I want to put a tree in my bathroom now, because how cute. How cute. So yes, thanks for that. My husband will thank you when another tree shows up at my house next week. He'll be like, wait, what?
That's
so yes, excellent.
Yeah. Eric just dropped the link to register for Black Friday VIP. Again, this is the last chance to do it this weekend, because Sunday night at midnight Mountain Time, that is cut off, and then it'll just be regular Black Friday deals, and they're not as good as the VIP ones. I promise you that. All right, guys, have a good weekend. Have a good weekend.
Definitely. Thanks, everybody.